Hello and welcome to another Outlaw walkthrough. Today we are going to be discussing the template section and how to add a new template and the different ways to add a new template. And we're going to touch base on just a little bit of coding, but mostly that's going to be a video for another time. So first things first, obviously when you first get into Outlaw, you're going to be in the dashboard section, which is over here. We've already talked about in another video the contract section. And now if we just move down to what looks like a stack of papers, this is your template section. So I am already in the template section for my org, and you can see here that we have a number of different templates that we're working with here. You can also see the status. You can see some are active and some are draft. What the draft means is that, you're still working on this template. It's not ready to be used yet. For FVDA clients, if you are working on a template and now you want to start generating it in your file line, it does need to be in this active status, which you can easily change right here. This one I can deactivate. This one I can activate because it is not activated yet. So just noting there that if you are a file line client or FVDA or something like that, that you're working on your templates and you need to actually go into your project and generate one and it's not showing up, chances are you probably don't have this in the active phase and it needs to just be activated here. And so as soon as you do that, it's activated. I'd refresh your file line and then give it a try and generate that. So I'm going to go ahead and deactivate that one just because we don't need it at the moment. So you can see the status. You can also see the title, which if at any point you need to update this, you can always go into your template and you can update the name of your title. You can also from here, you can delete templates. Maybe they're not in use anymore. Maybe, a myriad of different reasons why you'd want to delete one, but you can delete that as well. You will notice there's not a mass delete in here for templates, kind of like we saw previously in the contracts video. So you would have to go in here and delete one by one all of your templates. So let's talk about adding a new template. So to add a new template, you have three different options. They're pretty straightforward. The first one is you can upload a document, either a .vine or a docx. A .vine is the Outlaw template type, or document type rather. So that is what a .vine is. So if you have one of those already made, maybe in another project or something like that, you can go ahead and upload that here as well. Docx, that is just your regular Microsoft Word document that you can upload. And so let's go ahead and upload a document so you can see what that looks like. So obviously you click on upload, we select our document that we would like to upload. We come in here, oops, that is a good thing to note that if you do select and then try and hit all the way back, it will just kind of close out your tab or whatever you're working on. So you do just need to use the backspace here and then we can edit the title. So let's just call this pleading. And for the template key, that is automatically assigned. You can, add on more to that if you needed to, but typically just the title and the template key matching are fine. You can also give it a description here, just like this says, scope of work or agreement for like a vendor. If you need to, I think for legal documents, this is pretty straightforward. A pleading is a pleading, a complaint, medical authorization forms, things like that. But if you wanted to go into more detail here, you could give maybe a detailed overview here. So you could just say, it's going to be details, details, details. There you go. So we have all that, and then we can hit create template. And I will just note that you don't have to fill in this description, but it's nice if you want to. So let's hit create template. All right, now you can see that our template has been uploaded and you're probably thinking, well, that doesn't look anything like the document that we had before. Let me just do a little split screen so you can see both. All right, I did a little split screen so you can see the side-by-side comparison here. So a lot of times when you upload a document, what Outlaw or FVDA or document assembly, whatever you want to call it, likes to do is they like to take these individual lines here. And these are now going to become individual paragraphs in Outlaw. So that kind of can get off your, obviously, formatting, because now we're going to have to go in and fix this. So sometimes depending on what your document is, sometimes it's better to either start from scratch and then copy and paste this in. And then what happens when you copy and paste is, which is pretty cool. So if we come here, let's just select all of these and come in here and say I want to add a new paragraph. To add a new paragraph, you just hit enter. couple times. We do that. I'm going to drop this down to the paragraph body. You can see now that this is all together in one area, which is really nice. And then if I so choose to, if I wanted to separate this into different paragraphs, I could just hit the inner space again and it would create a new paragraph. So sometimes that's easier than actually importing or uploading one of these, depending on how the document looks prior to you uploading it. Just because now, obviously there's not too much to go in format, but sometimes that's easier just to copy and paste in and then kind of format from there. Just because for formatting in Outlaw, now to delete these other fields that are in a single paragraph instead of kind of together, I'm going to have to come up here to this and delete them one by one. There's no I can't just highlight these and delete them. So that is sometimes one drawback to uploading documents. It really depends on the document and just your style of formatting and working within Outlaw. So there's some documents that this is great for, mostly a lot of client letters or correspondence, different things like that. They're typically, multiple paragraphs and not just a few lines. So then it kind of makes it easier to import. So another way to add a template, if we come back up here, is through existing. So what you can do is you can actually take a template that you already have, and it must be in the active status, because you'll see here once we click into here that if it is still in this draft status or deactivated, it's not going to show up in your list to make a contract from, or a template in this case. So let's go ahead and click on this and just talk about that more. So you can come up here and we can choose a template that we want this to be based off of. Maybe we want to have a fee agreement 2.0. Obviously, if this was your typical workaround, pause and restart. Obviously, you could always go in and edit your original fee document to include any changes or anything like that. But just for demo purposes, if you wanted to have maybe a secondary fee agreement, or you're working on the wording and you don't necessarily want this one to be active yet, but you want to use kind of the same connected variables and different things, you can just come in here and we can go ahead and make essentially a copy of it here. So, same as before, we have in the title, this automatically adds in the template key. We can add a description if we want to, it's not required. And then this last part refers to the clauses. So you can actually have where you have a parent template, very much like this fee agreement, and then you can make a copy based off of that, and you can link the clauses together. It can share some of the similar wording and different things like that. And I think that might just be its own video so that we can dive more into that. So for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and not enable the linking clauses on this, just so you can see what this document looks like. And then you'll have to tune back in for another video on linking clauses. So let's go ahead and create this template. So you can see here that now this has been created. So basically what it's doing is just pulling over the same document, the formatting's the same, the wording's the same. These are FileVine connected variables in here. And the reason that they're grayed out instead of their typical color as a teal highlight is because I haven't connected this template to our FileVine org. So right now these codes are in here and they will work, but it's technically not connected to anything on the back end. So that's why they're pulling in gray, which is just a little kind of like an alert to know that everything's not pulling in correctly. But you can see now that this has pulled in, and then, if you wanted to make changes, come in here, maybe just delete this whole paragraph, get rid of that wording, you can. You can mark up this document, make the changes you want to, and then you would still have this fee agreement 2.0. If for some reason, you decided, all right, I don't want to call this fee agreement 2.0, you can always come in here to this as well, and you can just change this. So maybe we just want to call this copy. We can update that here. You will notice though that you can't update the template key. That is what it is tied to, kind of, in FileVine, when you have a field selector, that would be the same thing. Once it is in there, you would have to contact FileVine or just delete and remake that field in order to change that field selector. So kind of the same thing happening here. But you can change the title. You can still add in a description if you wanted to. And then we can also, we'll just go ahead and hit update here. So yeah, you can make the changes you need to there. From here, we also haven't really talked about it yet. but you can toggle on and off the title or letterhead, maybe not for all the documents you're going to be generating. Do you need that nor want that? So that is just something else to note there. But that's how you create a template from an existing template. So let's go back and talk about our last one. It is obviously pretty straightforward too. It's a blank template. You create it from scratch. So sometimes, like I was saying before, when you upload different ones, oh, and I already have a test key, so let's just name this one. Something worth noting, obviously, that you just saw there is that I do have to have a test key that is unique, very much like when you are working in FileVine, your field name or field selector has to be unique as well. So that's what it was prompting me for there. But like I was saying before, when you upload some documents, sometimes the formatting just gets really out of whack, and it's easier just to copy and paste in and kind of retain that information instead of, just uploading it and then having to go through one by one paragraph and reformat and edit. So let's just go ahead and create this blank contract or blank template here. So you can see my title is pulling in as test. You can see that this is an empty contract, and you can hit start now and it'll automatically start with a bullet up here, but we don't have to. We can toggle that off and then we can just start, typing depending on what we need to fill in for our test document here. So I think that pretty much covers it on the overview of the templates, and I hope this was helpful.